Alright, welcome back to The Horror with Mike.
And Nate.
On this episode, we are going into Scream Queens, Killer Theories, Part 2. This is actually covering Episode 3, as it were, because they fucked me over on my OCD way of putting stuff together by having Episodes 1 and 2 last week. So this is Killer Theories 2, Episode 3.
I'm already confused.
My OCD is flaring, brother. Anyway, so episode 3 called Chainsaw. Again, last week I mentioned how I love the titles of these episodes. Pumpkin Patch, Haunted House, Chainsaw, Hell Week. Love this title, and it's a very, very apt title.
It is. I mean, you can't go wrong with more chainsaw action.
Fucking copyright Nate, 2015. Can never go wrong with more chainsaw action. Scream, Scream Season 2 or anything, take notice. I'll take chainsaws in any movie.
And this sort of, it sounds like a small thing, but it epitomizes what I liked about this episode. They took this one detail, the chainsaw. It's not going to be a recurring motif in the show, I know that. They used the shit out of it for this hour. Multiple chainsaw attacks, chainsaw deaths. If you're going to do something, don't half-ass it. Mm-hmm. And they did that. And I respect that.
Bold. I like bold shit. We looked at the ratings, not very good. But being that they already have their 13, 15, whatever episodes, I assume we're going to get the whole thing.
For no other reason other than they're dealing with this red-hot producer, creative team that they want to work with again. They're going to give them what they want. They'll get the full season. Doesn't matter if the show totally tanks, which I don't think it has. I think that this show is going for a demo that does not, and I repeat, does not base their schedule of life around what's on TV at what time.
Very true.
There is no reason to. With all the online platforms we have,
right?
Not to mention just digital recorders on the TV, I wouldn't be surprised if more people didn't watch in the few days after it aired than on the night when it aired.
Our second jobs right now are to cover Scream Queens, and I don't watch it when it comes on air.
No.
I wait till later where I can fast forward through all the commercials. Fox, if you're thinking about it, which you're not, even the biggest hardcore fans who watch the episode multiple times do not watch it when it comes on fucking air.
And you know, if anybody from Hulu Plus is listening, you want to sponsor this show, I don't have cable. I don't watch it on TV because I don't have TV. I have Hulu Plus, so I don't need TV because I can watch it like a few hours later. You know?
So it's on Hulu Plus?
It is.
Oh, I didn't know that. Right on.
Like a few hours after it airs on TV, they have it up.
Let's get into episodes specifically. So this episode, episode 3, is called Chainsaw. Again, awesome title. It was written and directed by Ian Brenner. He's the guy who, like I mentioned last week, helped write with Leigh Whannell Cooties. I still haven't finished that movie, by the way. Small bit of trivia is that the chick who plays Grace, Skylar Samuels, I believe is her name, she was in Freak Show, which I watched. You say you didn't get through Freak Show?
I didn't watch it for very long.
Okay, well, you would have at least seen the episode she was in. She was the girl who got murdered by the clown out in the open field.
Oh, okay. The girl on the picnic?
Yeah.
Right.
So that was her. Okay, so a killer theory right off the top that I wanted to talk about is Chanel number 5, I think, was made out to be quite the killer in this episode.
The Charles Manson genetic tie. To be clear, the alleged Charles Manson genetic tie.
Alleged, yes.
Whether or not it is true is beside the point. If she thinks it's true, then it might as well be true.
Yeah, pretty much. Numbers tattooed, which I need to find out what that means, if it's related to, like, letters. But anyway, we'll see. And then her scene with Predatory Lesbian with We Gotta Be Alibi Buddies, I thought was really fucking clever.
Yeah, that was fun.
Chanel number 2, a little bit of an update on her. Supposedly Aviva Grande or whatever. Grande will be coming back. Again, flashbacks, probably. And we find out that her real name was Sonia. She used to have a drinking problem. And this was pretty cool for me as a horror fan. Roger Bart plays her dad. Roger Bart, you may recognize as one of the businessmen killer team in Hostel Part 2.
Yeah.
The mother was played by somebody who I believe you're more of a fan of, right?
Well, I'm more familiar with her, I guess.
Okay.
Charisma Carpenter. She was on the Buffy the Vampire Slayer and then the Angel TV show for a while, and I believe she's been in some movies as well. But in any event, she does have like a real strong genre connection.
Right. Also in that scene was really funny. Again, the highlight of the entire episode, Jamie Lee Curtis, you are awesome. Security Officer Hempfield steals the show again.
Although I'm not sure if she's my MVP for this episode or not, because the actor Glenn Powell, what's his name, Chad Radford?
Sure.
He, I thought, was spectacularly funny this episode.
No, he's very funny.
He had a couple of really, really great scenes.
So actually, that can be a new thing too. MVP. Yeah, I go for Hempfield twice in a row. You go for Chad.
I'm going to pick Chad because he got a couple of great laughs out of me. And more importantly, at the end of the episode, I want to see more of that character. Now there are 2 characters on the show that I want to see more of. Niecy Nash and him.
Really? Okay.
I love Jamie Lee Curtis, and actually, her speech to the students on the podium, I thought was just so well done.
Yes.
She wasn't in contention for MVP this week because the whole Roomies thing was so sitcom-y, and I understand it was intentionally sitcom-y.
Sure.
Still didn't like it. Still was like, oh...
No problem. I can understand that. I loved it.
The Odd Couple thing.
I loved it. Oh, God, that shit was too funny.
That bit was a little hacky, but...
I liked it. I thought it was funny. But yeah, I like this idea of the MVP, so send us your killer theories and your MVP for this episode. I also like Zayday a little bit more now. I mean, she's not like a big thing, but again, osmosis, because Hempfield stole it with the whole, get in the car, sweetheart, I want to talk to you. I got this, and I got this. You are what we detectives call a murder suspect of high suspicion or something like that.
The fact that she used a tweet that she sent to Shonda Rhimes.
That's
as
my favorite
evidence.
Part.
It was great.
She should get a partner. Hashtag cahoots. And I fucking died.
And then once again, echoing something I said earlier about the chainsaw bit, when you overtly bring out all this stuff about killers working together, why beat around the bush?
Yeah.
Go nuts. And so they do, and they show unequivocally 2 different killers working in concert together.
Both with chainsaws.
Both
dressed at the other end of the street while all these dudes in white fucking are trying to act like badasses to the fucking Backstreet Boys. It was Backstreet.
Yeah, I think it was Backstreet Boys.
Because it was Backstreet's back. Oh, right. And beating stuff up like Ghetto Code.
Ghetto Code, bro. It works.
Dude, that shit was so fucking funny. And okay, so that's why he's your MVP. It was between those 2 lines.
Yeah. But also, like his bit where he's addressing the brothers. And they were like,
no, Boone was gay, but whatever.
Well, he was gay, but, doesn't matter now.
Yeah, exactly. I like the Roomies just because, one, calling out Roomies. Woo!
Hashtag Roomies.
I know that was intentional, of course. Gigi is hilarious, and she works so well with
I really
Jamie
like her
Lee
character.
Curtis, who's so dry and quick, and Gigi's like really, really silly, but I love her. So anyway, they're sitting there, and there's like 100 bottles of dressing in between them, which I thought was hilarious. And then it pans over, and Jamie Lee Curtis is just sitting there like sitcom, that all of a sudden is like, whoop! But when they're trying to sleep all Odd Couple, that one pushed it almost a little too far for me. I was like, all right, I get it.
As a throwaway line, when she was like, oh, well, who set the white noise machine to Slasher movie? The whole scene didn't work, but just like as a line on its own, that was pretty funny.
But what I did like is where she's like, does it have another noise setting? And she's like, nope, that's it. That's all it's got. I can do whale noises. And he's like, Rah! Which, the funny thing about that, in the movie Kill List, they used whale in distress sounds because that's the most unsettling sound a human being can hear. Like something tells you run when you hear a whale is in trouble. What the fuck is attacking a whale? The most distressing noises is what calms her down. Which again, killer theory.
Oh, I'm just writing that killer theory.
Oh, sure, absolutely. And somebody on our YouTube pointed that out too. They believe she's helping cover it up. Home field advantage is what one person referred to it as, and I like that. Zayday, it was obviously made out to be implicated. Like, that's who Hempfield is like, I know this, and I know this, and I got a chainsaw, and just kept bringing shit out. Again, I told you earlier, I didn't really care for that scene at the end, being that she's like, oh, and I found all this stuff, and she's like, my grandmother gave me that chainsaw, and then for some reason, other than it's contrived, all writing's contrived, but when you have to get back on track instead of being fun, which is what that scene was, it's like, oh, your grandmother gave you a chainsaw. Well, that means I have to let you go because that totally makes sense and just disproved everything I was saying. I was like, false. Do not buy it, writers. Like, you fucked up there. But other than
that, I guess it didn't work in the scene, and it wasn't a good ending to that scene.
No, it wasn't.
But I mean, like, she had to let her go.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. They had to get back to the plot trajectory at hand, so they just had to contrive something. At the very beginning, as they're walking up to the place, there's a Z on the building that keeps flashing for maybe Zayday. I don't know. We'll have to see. Other MVP, Snowcone.
Coney, the new mascot.
Killed me.
R.I.P. Coney. We hardly knew you.
That is a shame, but we never actually saw what he looked like. We talked about a theory. I mean, we heard his name, so maybe when I rewatch it, this will connect. But that he's the guy who got his balls tased at the beginning because he was dressed as the mascot.
Right.
So he starts dressing like the new mascot and gets killed. So the poor guy got tased and his head cut off. Not a good few days for that guy. Yep, firmly established there are two killers. One of the killers cuts off the dude's arms but doesn't kill him. You pointed out, oh, well, you get two arms cut off, you're going to die. I think this show's tone, he might not die.
Well, and that's the thing, is that this show isn't afraid to be preposterous. The fact that you get both your arms cut off, sure.
Gotta destroy the brain, man.
Then, sure, you could live, why not?
As opposed to Scream, where they cut the femoral artery.
If it weren't a comedy, then it would definitely be a death sentence.
She's like, oh, no, Dad, I'll be fine. The button on that scene, the way that it ends behind her, and you see the name of the gas station is Last Stop.
Yeah.
It's like a boo.
Once again, a great reference to Texas Chainsaw. It was Last Chance Gas.
Right, okay.
In the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series.
Right, okay. Yeah, I was about to say it wasn't Last Stop. But
no,
okay,
it was
Last Chance, yeah. And then they have Chainsaw. You couldn't get away. At the first, I was like, oh, God, don't do that. Hey, we put horror movie stuff in here, so you gotta like us, because if you like Chainsaw Massacre, very Family Guy-ish,
Right.
It's like, hey, guys, I like the movie Chainsaw Massacre, so you should like my show. So I was like, oh, come on now. But what was funny is, one, how much the dad liked the liked watching it, like enjoyed the shit out of it. And two, when the lights come on, there's like a girl like even crying.
Yeah.
And one chick threw up in a backpack.
That character instantly won me over in that scene. By the end of that scene, I'm like, I love this guy. Now, I was already partial towards the guy because he used to be on Dawson's Creek, and I've got that weird Dawson's Creek thing. Mm-hmm. But, his... Not just the fact that it's his favorite movie, but his awesomely emotional reaction to it.
That's what won me over. I was like, okay, we're good. And when the whole chainsaw fight goes down, which, good for you, Gigi. Gigi, I thought, was awesome in this episode because she kicked the shit out of that guy, fought back, which I was impressed by because I was like, oh, she's dead.
Right.
It's like, nope, not Gigi. And then the dad comes in, picks up the chainsaw, and is like, makes that connection between the windows open. Now you just came downstairs. Just like us, the audience is like, I don't buy it. Jamie Lee Curtis, you're under arrest with a chainsaw. That image reminded me of the end of Last House on the Left, where it's just in a nice living room and one person holding another hostage with a chainsaw.
Right.
I was like, yeah, get it. So overall, really liked this episode. I would give this episode an 8.
I would give this one an 8 as well. And I would say, if there's anybody, if you're thinking about watching the show, maybe jump in with episode 3, and if you like it, because I don't know that the first episode will hook you. Yeah, so I definitely give it an 8 out of 10.
Yes.
Do you have any new killer theories this week?
Well, like I said, I pointed out all the new ones I think the show presented. Mm-hmm. However, killers, so now we know there's 2. Mike's killer theories for episode 3. We know that there's 2 so far, at least. One, Boone, which is Jonas' brother. And the second, with this episode, Abigail Breslin. An actress too big to be so little. Abigail Breslin as the second killer.
She's a good choice. Last week I had picked Jamie Lee Curtis as one of the killers. I still don't think she's running around out there with a chainsaw, which means there's more than 2. So Jamie Lee Curtis and Boone are definitely involved somehow. Abigail Breslin's a good choice. I guess it's not a theory. It's more of a killer prediction.
Okay.
Everything that's going on right now, I feel all of this is going to be wrapped up by episode 6.
Sure.
Is that the game is going to be completely changed way before anybody really expects it to. This, I think they're going to buck all those conventions, and we're going to get some sort of reveal very, very soon. What if the title of Scream Queens ends up being literal? We've seen how few members there are in this sororities. What if there's a new sorority of Scream Queens, and there end up being multiple killers all working together? That'll be revealed later.
That's a very interesting theory. I haven't been able to think about that at all, but yeah, that the title becomes literal. So let's see. So who was your other killer theory?
Well,
who would be the other one in the street?
I don't know.
Well, Candle Vlogger again.
Yeah, we'll just sure.
Hashtag cahoots. Okay, so yeah, overall, this is our favorite episode yet. If you're not watching and you wonder if you should, jump on in episode 3.
Yeah, it's a funny show.
Yeah.
It also has a bunch of killing and chainsaws in it. So really, I mean, what more could you ask for?
Exactly. You will laugh and you will get chainsaw maimings, deaths, all types of good stuff. Scream Queens episode 3 is the first, I wouldn't say must watch, but if you're going to watch this series, episode 3 is their flagship thus far.
Absolutely.
Hopefully it doesn't stay that way, but we'll see. I'm liking where it's going.
If it can maintain this quality, we're looking at a good show that I'm going to want to watch.
Right. Okay, well that pretty much wraps up this edition of Scream Queens Killer Theories. The next episode of Roomies comes out in late October. It's going to be a Halloween episode. Remember to check that out. Scream Queens Killer Theories will be returning to you every Thursday night.
Yeah, give us your thoughts on your killer theories and who's your MVP this week. Check back every single day throughout the month of October. Fright Flicks is bringing you a fun-sized, 5-minute long mini review every single day. We call it the 31 Days and Nights of Halloween. Halloween, where Fright Flicks is going to exclusively host the online premiere of my short film, Murder Clowns, A Family Portrait, on October 31st from midnight to midnight. I'm dying for you to watch this movie.
Okay, and we will see you next Thursday here on The Horror for more Scream Queens Killer Theories.